Hey everyone, welcome to A Slice of My Life. And before I continue with this video, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much because the response for my previous episode where I actually taught you how to make one of these DIY spinner toys was really overwhelming. And I never expected to get so many views and so many people commenting, giving me a lot of encouragement, and it's very heartwarming to hear that everyone was very interested and was very happy with learning about how to make one of these on their own. Now, a couple of you actually left a comment asking if I could make one of the tri-spinners instead, and I have done so already. I was a bit busy with work and life, but I managed to get one of these made. As you guys can see, it's a tri-spinner, and like I promised, once I was able to figure out how to make one of these, I would do a tutorial, and this is that video. Alright, so the build of this is slightly different from this, but the concept is still the same. I also understand that some of you went ahead, used the concept for making one of these, and went ahead to make one of the tri-spinners on your own. Right, so I'm gonna get started and I'll be sharing with you guys what are the parts needed and how to go ahead and make your own DIY tri-spinner. Now I'd like to address some of the comments that was actually left in the previous video. Some of you actually said, that it wasn't gonna be just under $1 or $1, it's gonna be way more than that. I would like to re-emphasize again that I am just recycling anything that I could find. These were just cable ties that were already lying around, and the fact that they were lying around means that they were just spares. I already bought one pack of cable ties and used whatever I needed. Now let's look at this guy, and I'm going to use this as an example because it looks really clean and really good, right? But if you look closely, it's all worn out. Look at the shields of the bearings. All these things are all worn out, and listen to that sound. It's old and dried up. There's no more lube inside, so I'm really just reusing stuff. If you look at this one, I cleaned this a little bit and I also removed the shields, but if you guys look at this one, you can actually see some of the old grease and some dirt stuck on the inside, or the creases or the depressions of that detail over there. So I guess what I'm really trying to say is, when I mentioned that it's under $1, it's basically me trying to tell you I'm recycling everything. Alright, so old cable ties that don't get used anymore, or like cable ties that you don't really need, you can just undo them and use them for another project instead. Especially for the bearings, these bearings will never get used again. Honestly, once you buy new bearings, you generally throw the old bearings away, and making them into spinners is just giving them a new lease of life. So really guys, if you want to, of course, by all means, go out and buy new bearings, because there's so many different kind of bearings out there. And the thing about spinners is that a lot of people actually want really long spin times, and then you would invest a little bit more on the the main bearing itself. So you would get stuff like ceramic bearings or something, and then you would clean it out, and then you get high spin times and stuff. I am just using old bearings, and I'm not one for extra long spinning time. I'm just one to have a fidget toy. So I just really wanted to emphasize that again. Now, just by looking at this, you guys can already figure out how it's made, and it's actually really simple. But I'll just go ahead and give it the parts needed anyway. Once again, these were actually reused bearings as well. These bearings look relatively new. They actually came with a pair of new wheels that I bought for my kick scooter, and I felt that my current bearings were way better than these, because these seem to be just a cheap set of ABEX 7 bearings, but I'm actually using Bones Reds for my kick scooter wheels, so I'm just gonna stick to that. And then I decided that I would just use these in a spinner. If I ever wanted these bearings out, I can just remove and cut away the cable ties, or just undo them, and then I'll just salvage the bearings from here. Here we go. This is the first thing you'll need, which is 4 bearings this time. And I'm really just emphasizing again, these are all very old bearings. You can see how dirty and worn out they are, and some of them don't even spin well at all. But this one is the most worn out and is the most dried up, so it does make a nice whooshing sound, and I'm intending to use this as the middle one. Okay, if you guys are wondering why are these bearings like that and these have shields on them, it's because you can just simply remove them. Alright, I'm not going to give you a tutorial on how to remove the shields. It's actually very straightforward, but go YouTube it. There are a few tutorials out there on how to remove the shields of bearings. Okay, so you'll need 4. Then you'll need large sized cable ties. 3 of them. Following that, you will need 3 medium-sized cable ties, and finally you will need 3 small-sized cable ties. Of course, you can go crazy and have more small-sized cable ties. You can go up to 6, but really, once you understand how to make it, it's really just entirely up to you. Now for the tools, Once again, we need our pliers and we will need our wire cutters, and of course we cannot forget the precision screwdriver in case we want to make adjustments, but this time we are going to employ the use of a little ruler. So let's get everything out of the way, and we will start by focusing our attention on the 3 big cable ties. So what you want to do is get your ruler and then get these cable ties. So you'll take cable tie number 1, okay, and you want to thread the end of cable tie number 2 into the head of cable tie number 1, just like so, just a bit. Then you want to get cable tie number 3 and thread the end of cable tie number 3 into the head of cable tie number 2. Last but not least, you will grab the end of cable tie number 1 and thread it into the head of cable tie number 3, creating a big triangle. What you want to do is measure this point over here to where this cable tie starts. Alright, so remember, from this line over here to this part right at the back of the head over here. In my tutorial, I'm actually going for 6.8 cm, which is 68 millimeters, but you guys can just, you know, play by ear. You can go for 7 or 6.5. I don't really think that would really affect it much, but for me, I'm going for 6.8 centimeters. So I'm just gonna tighten it a little bit more. From this end over here, right at the edge here, we're gonna start our measurement. So that is way too far, and that is about it. So you want to make sure that this part is straight. Then we're gonna measure it from where this starts to the middle of this cable. So as you guys can see, it's just about 6.8 cm or 68 millimeters. Alright, so I'm gonna do the same for all 3.
A few moments later.
So I'm done. It's all 6.8 cm across all 3. Now we're gonna cut away the excess part of this cable tie. So grab your wire cutters and do the deed. Grab the excess and throw it away. Now you should be left with a nice triangular shape cable tie connection thingy. Next, you want to get your bearings and you want to line them up. So for me, I'm using this green one, or rather with the green shields, this ABAC 9. Actually, I don't really know if it's really ABAC 9, but this will be the middle one, which is my spinning one, my main spinner bearing. Then I'm gonna put these guys something like that. Then get your triangular shaped cable tie thingy and put it around these guys like that. Now if you feel like it's too loose, you can always just tighten them one step at a time. So you know, it seems a little bit loose this time around. I'm gonna tighten them each by one. So just now check it again. Seems a little bit more snug. Now that's done, you guys realize that it wasn't as tight as what I did in my previous version of the spinner. And that's because for this guy, we're gonna need to pinch the cable tie in a lot more than when compared to the bar spinner. If the outer ring is too tight, then you know, you wouldn't have a lot of space to do this. Alright, let me show you again the example. This is the reason why, okay? Next, you want to get your 3 small sized cable ties. These are the smallest ones that you'll have, and we're gonna use these to kind of lock these 3 bearings into place. Now once again, I'm gonna try to go for some form of symmetry, so I'm gonna make sure that I loop these guys in the same fashion and on the same side. So for example, this guy over here, I'll just thread it through first. I'm just gonna tighten this guy till it's just about finger tight, okay? Not too much, just finger tight. Then we're gonna do the same thing for the other 2 on the outside. So take note of the correct orientation. You wanna get it the same. Alright, so finger tight again. The small cable tie sits on the right side of the big cable tie head, so same thing over here. And we're gonna replicate it for the last one as well. Take a look again. These 3 guys are actually tied to the corners of the triangle. And now we're gonna get our 3 medium-sized cable ties, and we are going to use these guys to pinch here, here, and at the bottom over here. So what we do is we're gonna get these guys and we're gonna loop them individually first. That. Now you wanna make sure that you have the same orientation throughout. So if it's all gonna be this way, then make sure it's all gonna be lined up the same. So threads out this side. Alright, so take note of that. Gonna just get this and thread it through till it's about here. I'm gonna tighten it to a point that it'll be pinching onto this bearing or around this bearing here, but not too tight. Okay, just enough so that the medium-sized cable tie will not slip out. And it's kind of difficult to understand just by me telling you with words, so I'm gonna just show it to you guys. So just tighten it. Okay, just a bit more. Okay, something like that, so that this guy wouldn't slip out easily. See, so it's gonna stay. He's gonna stay on the inside. So we're gonna do the same thing with the other two medium-sized cable ties as well. Thread it through over here to the next corner, and you have a kind of a cute heart-shaped thing. And we're gonna do the same for this over here. Same orientation, loop it through, and tighten this guy down. Making sure this one stays up here, just like that. So now I put it down like this, and we're gonna try and push this middle bearing right in the middle. So we're gonna try and find some way to make some space, shift things here and there. And the good thing is, it's because we did not tighten all the cable ties all the way, there still is a little bit of give, so it'll stretch a little bit, and you should be able to do something like this. Right, of course, it's far from complete. After squeezing the middle bearing in, we're gonna tighten the middle cable ties just a little bit more. Make sure this time it's just finger tight. Now that there's less chance of anything slipping out, we are going to go ahead and try to adjust and shift things around so that these three outer bearings will be about equally spaced around the middle bearing. Let's just do that. Right. More or less, it's starting to take some pretty good shape right now. Now the next part is the most crucial part of all. We are now going to lock everything in place by means of tightening the middle cable ties. This is the most crucial step. You want this middle cable ties to be in between the outer ring of the outside bearing and the middle bearing, kind of like this. Notice how all of the cable ties in the middle are covering up the outer ring of the inner bearing, as well as a little bit of the bearings on the outside, and that's actually to hold the whole middle bearing in place. That's the most crucial part of this DIY build. So here we go. How we do that is we just shift it down a little bit, and then we tighten as we go. So tighten a little bit, and then we'll shift it down some more. Tighten it a little bit, and we'll shift it down some more. And we'll do the same for all three of these bearings. Tighten it and shift it down. And the last one over here. Once you got them finger tight, before you go ahead and get your pliers and make sure that it's really tight, we're gonna try to adjust it a little bit more. This one takes a lot more adjusting, guys, because you want to make it as equal as possible. So there we go. Okay, looks pretty good. Now we're gonna get the pliers and we're gonna do the tightening thing for the middle size cable ties. So here we go. Now always remember, you want to keep pushing it down, making sure that you cover a little bit of the outer ring every time you tighten it. So this one's done for this round. I might come back to that depending on how the others affect it. Third cable tie. Once it's more or less like this, we are going to tighten the small cable ties and then snip all the excess off. Then we're gonna do some final adjustments to the spacing of these bearings. Alright, wire cutter comes back into play and snippety snip. Just want to make sure that all this excess is cut off as well, because I don't want them to accidentally scratch me. And if you guys really want it to be as smooth as possible, you could either just use some sandpaper, or you could just go outside and rub it on the concrete or something, just to get rid of all these burrs over here and smoothen things out. And for the final adjustments, just make sure that everything lines up. How I do that generally is to just make sure that these two are kind of like on a flat plane, and this is 90 degrees directly going upwards. So just check by doing this, this, and this. So kind of like that, checking, if I use a ruler to help you out, then well, basically just line it up and make sure this is up there. It looks to be pretty evenly spaced out, so that looks good. Last thing that I'm gonna do for this tri-spinner is to add a thumb grip. And you guys already know how to do that in my previous video, so I won't be going much into detail about that. So I got my M8 size bolt and nut, couple of narrow washers and a couple of thicker washers, and I'm just gonna put the thick washer like this, followed by a narrow washer, threading it through the middle, and then doing everything in reverse. So narrow washer, thick washer, followed by the nut itself, and tighten it. And we have our thumb grip or finger grip. And as you guys can see, we are done. Tri-spinner. Once again, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. You know, I really had a good time making it, and I hope that I was able to, I guess, share more information about these with you guys. So once again, remember, just make use of all parts, and the whole aim of it is to just recycle things as much as you can. And if you guys have no idea where you should go to get old bearings and old cable ties, then why not try visiting your thrift store? You know, just going to buy a used, beat up old skateboard that has wheels that still work, then just salvage the bearings from the wheels, and I think that they would make great spinners. You know what I mean? So the whole idea is to just, you know, keep everything cheap, recycle, reuse, and, you know, give all these recycled things a new breath of life. And they are honestly pretty fun. Once again, guys, thank you so much for the support. Thanks for watching always, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. Bye!